The federal government,
Karka interrupt.
the federal government have, of course, distributed palliative to various states of the federation to show that it gets to the needy. What do you think are the measures that need to be taken to ensure that the target audience gets these items?
Well, first, I think I would like to start by commending the federal government, even though some will argue that it's a bit too late, because measures ought to be taken before a particular or major decision is taken. But nevertheless, I think measures taken across the nations naturally has to be in peculiarities with the particular areas, you understand? And I think the best I can do is maybe to cite what is done here in Kano State. And I think I also have to commend the governor for coming up with a very strong committee, and not just a central committee, but a committee even at the local government level, which was saddled with responsibility of identifying a vulnerable family, those that really need it the most, you understand, and also giving them that responsibility of getting out the particular people that they need to take those palliatives to, and in also synergy with the central committee from the state, which I believe it goes across the 44 local governments of the state. But remember, palliative of such nature is just one-off, it's one-time thing. It's not something that is going to really fool anybody out of poverty or something like that. But it's kind of a measure to really tell the populace that the federal government, the state government, and whoever is responsible knows your problems and knows that you're hurting, and probably this is a little we can do to actually support that. And I think they have done a very good job in that aspect, even though other areas of vulnerability has been identified. I don't know for now whether such allocation has actually gone down there, but those that were done through this particular structure of the local government, we're very sure it has gone truly to where it actually goes. And I believe there was sanity then because of the trust people have in government, actually. I don't think there was a case of looting the palliatives, so to say, as we've been seen across the nation, or maybe it's because it's untimely, or maybe because people are sure that the structure will work to that level. And I believe to some extent that palliative goes down to where it needed to go.
You made mention of not just giving the needy palliative. I think more needs to be done to sustain a living, being that we are in a terrible economic hardship. What is the way out of that? Not just giving something little to cushion the effect.
Yeah, I think
What is the way out?
I think the best thing first is for the government to be able to have a critical assessment of any policy risk. You understand? If you are to take any policy, there's a need for a critical analysis of the policy risks. What is going to result? You understand? Because of that particular policy. And those measures have to be in place before those particular policies goes down. You have to look at the mitigants, the expected, what will happen actually, and you have to really come up with what the mitigant, what will actually take care of that particular situation. And I think there are a lot of arguments which sometimes I do subscribe to that because as an economist as well as an accountant, I believe that if only the federal government have had a countermeasure, okay, you want to take away subsidy, you need to make sure that there is a free flow of food, because naturally in Nigeria we have seen two variables that truly has an effect to the downtrodden. For example, any increase in petroleum price, any movement, upward movement of a dollar, the exchange rate, has a very, very damning effect, and it kind of goes down. So we need to also come up with a particular policy or a decision that will mitigate whatever we might expect from there, because it's certain. It's not as if we don't know what will happen if that subsidy is to remove. We know it trickle down to all prices across the nation, and what is of a great concern to a common man is naturally food. That is the first thing, you understand. And the federal government ought to have actually probably open all the borders, allow for free import of food, you understand. We I know the policy to actually stop bringing in food was born out of the fact that we want to grow, you understand, the local production of the foods and what have you. And if you look at it, they want to give protection to people that have invested heavily in production of either rice and some other foodstuffs across the nation. But to me, if you look at the number of those individuals, you understand, side by side with the total number of the Nigerians that are suffering because of this particular policy, and I think it will only be wise for government to now shift the palliative giving or taking measures, you understand, to support those people that may end up losing if we're losing the borders. For example, we are here, we know most of these rice millers, most of these people that engage in the farming, you understand, have taken one form of a loan or the other from the government. You understand? Government might decide, okay, these are measures we want to take. If you feel you suffer, you understand, we look through what you have taken from the government. There are people that have taken billions of nairas, you understand, through all the government policy trying to support them with the production and what have you. You understand? And they too, okay, I think their number is really manageable. You can look at their problems and also provide support to them, than just actually clinging to the fact that, okay, you want to buy. I remember the other issue that made the cost of the product to be very high is also the way the government went about buying this product directly from the producers. You understand? When you inject too much money trying to buy thousands and thousands of rice in the name of palliatives, you understand, you are invariably creating scarce. You understand? Commodities that ought to have come directly for people to purchase directly naturally will now become scarce because there is an influx of money. Because I remember one of the guys we once interviewed or discussed with him, one of the millers, you understand, there was a time we wanted to even buy. He told us that his production from now to the next 2 months, you understand, is to satisfy the federal government's demands of what they ought to have. And you mean that one, you created another scarcity, you understand, and that also wasn't the situation. And for somebody who can buy rice at 30,000 naira, and because of all this now it moves to 60,000 naira, if you just give him 1 or 2 bags, you understand, it doesn't measure up to what he will have actually bought if such high demands for the product is not in the market. So naturally, the government ought to look at this particular area, because to me, what happened actually does not actually pay off to what is it. We are still talking about going back to payment of subsidy as it is now. You understand? And it's simply because that measure has not worked, and simply it is because it has not been managed properly. If only the common man is not crying about food, if the food is available, you understand, I assure you, maybe the measures taken to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal, you understand, will have not been felt this much, and naturally, maybe the target where the government really want to go, they will have also scaled it there. And we also talk about the coming up with transportation models that will work for all, and it doesn't work anywhere. I don't think it has impacted anywhere. None of the states, you understand, from the money that they were given, they could not be able to provide enough to cater for the public transportation that would have also taken care of that subsidy. And that one too will have served as a palliative, or even a more the one that everybody will have been able to see clearly by itself. So naturally, and you know, the major problem we don't have statistics. So naturally, it's just like whatever we're working on, you understand, we're not working on something that will truly, you understand, provided the results. That is the real problem we have. We don't have statistics of even the people that live around us, from the immediate community down to the state, down to the federal government, for us to be able to know the segregation between the clear-cut levels of the vulnerable groups we have. You understand? If we have the right statistics, for example, in my own local government, Fege, we'll be able to know exactly the number of the destitute, down to the homeless, down to the vulnerable family, and what have you. And without these statistics, I don't think there's going to be any model.
The palliative will not be impacted on those.
Yeah, you cannot. You don't.
You have not make a number. You don't know the number
Yeah.
of those that are in need. In that
So naturally, you cannot come up with a right model to satisfy all this because you don't have the number. So naturally, that's why I think the Kano State on to some extent because it include the local level. You understand to some extent because we cannot even say it has gone round the way it should be, but at least the most vulnerable have gotten it to some extent and all that and all that. So we need to really rework all these things. We need to have those statistics and whatever.
Something that is just a little to pushing the effect. It's not going to be sustained. It's not going to be sustained. I mean, it's just little assistance to kind of alleviate some of their suffering. Yeah. What is it going to? You said you made mention of maybe opening the border to ensure that food is sufficient. Don't you know this will sabotage the effort of the last administration of ensuring that we provide, or rather we from the food that we are going to sustain, or rather is going to sustain us for a long period of time without exporting from other countries. And we have suffered a lot to this extent that I think maybe you think if the border is now open, don't you think that effort is not going to be, or rather it is sabotage to that effort?
Well, I think to me, you see, in all aspects you have to look at the larger picture. You understand what we're talking about? You understand? And it all boils down to the policies we roll out and how we manage those policies. You understand? This country have seen different layers, different models of policies that has to do with agriculture. You understand? And because, like I told you, we do not have the right figures, maybe that's why we do not always get it through. And two, the political will. You give me the assessment of those that have accessed that loan, you understand, for food production, for what have you. It all starts and ends with probably politicians and those that are there is or very closest to them. It doesn't go down to the right people, the people that, we need to encourage to do this. You go to Benue State, you go to Niger State, you encounter a lot of people that they know nothing but farming. You understand? And they don't really care whether government is there or not because they don't even have any other alternative to do that. Now, if truly the government wanted to do what it's supposed to do, they have to take this farming down to these people. You have to take this tool down to these people. You understand? You do not do it in the name of empowerment only to politicians and those that are very close to politicians, those that will just, you give them any of the farming equipment, the next thing they sell it at a half price, you purchase it and what have you. You understand? And mostly those that will buy those items also do not resell it even in the country. They move it to the countries that are close border countries around us. So, and if you look at the statistics of what people engages with the funds they receive in trying to make sure that we have produced what we eat, you understand? You look at it, 90% goes only into production of rice. That's the only thing. And as if it is only rice farmers that we have around. You understand? And even the focus of the country is centered around that area alone. You understand? And this is a country that is rich in natural resources and rich in also variety of food product that we produce across the nation. You go to Zamfara State, you go to the least area in this country. What you discover is that even the rice to them, they do not regard it as the first item of food. You understand? There are places where they prefer using what they produce, like the yam. You go to Benue, you go to the other side. You see variety of food. So we are taking almost all our policies largely remains on the electronic devices that they were created. You understand? You take individual agricultural ministries of each state. You understand? You ask them the statistics if they can give you an update of what is happening, I assure you, if it is an impromptu visit, you will not be able to get exactly what is truly happening. So this is the real problem we have. And also, what we expect the federal government or any other government to do, apart from talking about producing something meant for consumption alone, why not encourage, you understand, and cash farming, you understand, all these cash crops side by side with what we produce to eat, you understand, because that is the only thing now that will guarantee that a farmer will be able to, apart from producing what the nation will eat, will also have a reliable source of income, you understand, where he produces what he does not eat, but he only takes to market for cash that he will be able to sustain his life and indulge in other businesses or other activities himself. So I think we really need to look and have a serious overhaul of our agricultural policy, you understand, and as well as also encouraging other sectors. Let me take us back a little to such policies when Jonathan tried to ensure that there is a local content in virtually whatever we produce. Like when they were talking about making cassava, you understand, much more than just a food to eat, or rather raw food to eat, than also to into other things like what flour and any other thing can do. You understand? Let's look at those areas. What happened to those policies? Why don't we follow up to them? Why don't we design something that will only allow people from that segment to also benefit from, rather than just hanging on to anchor borrowers, you understand, and things like that that are so stereotypes, that are so clear, that allow ways for people to actually just use the money in between and just putting it back into the farm. So I think we need to really look at those policies. And like I say, whenever we are taking a policy departing from what we have on ground, we really need to look at what are the policy risks that we are taking, and how do we mitigate the likely policy risks for us to be able to first sustain the balance and begin to now look ahead as to gaining more from that policy than creating more havoc than it is.